The Morgan Report with David Morgan. Discover how to build and protect your wealth at The Morgan Report.
David Morgan of themorganreport.com for the week ending May 9th, 2025. Well, an interesting week. We saw the stock market basically fluctuate. Dow Jones Industrials declined slightly to close at 41,000 and change. S&P 500 basically unchanged. Investors are closely monitoring the ongoing U.S.-China trade negotiations, with President Trump suggesting a potential reduction in tariffs from 145% to 80%. These numbers change as quickly as the wind direction. Moving on, oil prices saw a bit of a rebound, with Brent rising up. The uptick is attributed to optimism surrounding the U.S. trade negotiations and concerns over Middle East tensions easing slightly. However, the EIA, the Energy Information Administration, forecasts a decline in oil prices, projecting crude to average below 65 in 2025 and 59 in 2026 due to increased global production and that outpacing ongoing demand. And as a bit of a summary here, looking at where we stand year to date on the metals complex, gold is up about 27% for the year so far. Palladium's up about 7%, platinum about 11%, silver's up 13%. On the base metals, aluminum's down about 5%, copper's up 9%, lead about 4%, nickel's about 2% higher, tin's almost 10% higher, and zinc is off about 10%. And in the energy complex so far year to date, crude is off 15%, heating oil is off 11%, natural gas is up 8%, and gasoline is up 4%. So looking over at the blog here, we'll take a look. I did an interview with Mr. Ahern on relocating to Europe. Pretty interesting interview. He's certainly very knowledgeable, has been there for a long time, and certainly can help. If you're interested, you might want to watch that video. You can watch it at higher speed. I got to speak with Daniela Cambone this week, talked about a lot about the BIS and what they have proposed for the new economic/monetary order going forward. And another couple of interviews I've done are here on the blog. And this is on the blog page from our landing page, themorganreport.com. Now that blog is slightly different from the YouTube channel, where I can only post what I do directly. In other words, if I'm being interviewed by Daniela, then we put it on the blog because it's their URL. But if you want to just look at what I do directly, it's here on the YouTube channel, The Morgan Report. So these are where the weeklies are done. And also, like the interview I did that was taped by me when I talked to Mario Manico64 in the UK, that's on here. This was an update I did on a new energy source. Very interesting, and those interested in the future of energy might want to watch that. So just wanted to make sure that I really don't talk about this too much, but there's really two ways to look at all the work that I do in the public for education purposes. One is the YouTube channel, which is just my stuff that I've recorded on my platform. And then if you go back to the landing page and hit the blog, you'll see stuff that I've done or been interviewed by other people. So, for example, with Jack, I think that was on his platform. This one was on mine. This one was on mine. Anyway, they're all there. You just have to go two places. And going back to the landing page, if we just take a quick look at X, a few things that were done during the week. This is Eric Young, who I plan to interview soon. He's quite knowledgeable. I have more insight into him than ever. We've had some correspondence back and forth by email only, but I think he's willing to come on, and certainly has straight shooter and has a lot of knowledge on the eastern side of the equation, meaning China. So I'm looking forward to that. So repost here on that, and just a few things during the week. I did an interview that hasn't been posted yet on the Sound Money movement this week. It'll be up soon But Daniel Diaz and I went and talked about all that's been happening in that realm over the last few months. We also had a senator, state level, from Alaska, and they have, I think it's HB2 or HB1 that he's been working on. So we went through that because it's coming up for a vote here pretty soon. A lot going on in the sound money movement that you want to pay attention to. Something I reposted here on the Goldbacks. Some of you are familiar with that. One at Tavi's, always worth your time to listen to or read. He's all over the place. He's on Twitter. He's also on LinkedIn quite a bit, talking about the one-year performance. And it's interesting. He said if gold miners were considered a sector, they would have outperformed every other one over the past year. This is a open secret that very few know about. People that subscribe to a premium service are well aware of that. And really the place to be, as I've emphasized for years, is the top tier cash rich unhedged, and particularly the royalty companies. They outperform. They're safer. They don't have the problems that you have with a normal mining company. Of course, there's some very good mining companies out there. Anyway, if you take a quick look at this chart, if you see this gold miners here and how superior it's been this past year over all the other sectors, which are hard to read on that scale, but you can increase it, but quite interesting. And I'll just add that a trend in motion continues till it actually stops. In other words, this trend that gold has outperformed everything else in the S&P by groups. That trend has begun. It's a year long, and chances are it will continue. Not that there won't be ups and downs, and I'm still saying on the gold front, on this weekly perspective, that gold is in a trading range. It's demonstrated that this week. So did silver. Silver and gold, I told you how well they performed relative to each other and other asset classes. And most analysts suggest that gold may continue to outperform silver in the near term. And that may be true. The Federal Reserve maintained its benchmark interest rate, citing a mixed economic outlook. Chairman Powell highlighted a rising risk of both inflation and unemployment, adopting a cautious wait-and-see approach. Surprise, surprise, market expectations for a rate cut by July have increased, coinciding with the 90-day tariff pause. There is whatever's happening on that front. As I said, it changes rapidly. Speaking about Eric Young again, I picked this up from his Twitter feed. Very interesting here on this short clip about platinum in China, and that Chinese see is what this young woman is saying, that gold is pretty expensive relative to platinum. So there's been more interest in platinum jewelry and also platinum bars. So as the markets navigate through geopolitical uncertainties and economic shifts, staying informed is crucial. That's why I do these weekly perspectives. I will continue to monitor these developments and provide updates. So stay tuned for our next episode. This is David Morgan signing out.